All right, so back here for part two of this week's edition of Weekly Crossbar. Ellis Joshua along with Coach Wink, and continuing with the week that was. So now we're up to this past Wednesday, April 17th, and that was a battle of the undefeated. You had Bayport against East Islip, and that was one where obviously, as you see the way these two teams have been heading throughout the course of the season, I'm sure the guys on both teams had to have that one circled on their calendars to see how that one would play out. But
Yeah, clash of the undefeated, right?
yup, both teams entered that game 8-0.
B and C. So possible East Islip B champs,
Mm-hmm.
possible Bayport C champs,
Yep.
battling it out at East Islip, which is like it's like the whole school's turfed. Like right? You just
Yeah.
see you see AstroTurf everywhere. There,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's no grass.
No, grass is not a thing there.
No. Boomer Esiason Stadium and
Mm-hmm.
South Champy Field, which is their football icons at the East Islip. Um, I expected that game to be like one of those back and forth. Didn't start out that way.
No. So the visitors from Bayport, they took a commanding lead in that first quarter. They put up six on East Islip and led 6-0 after one, and led, I believe it was 8-2 at the half. And it got interesting though towards the end. East Islip, they ended up losing that one 11-8. So like they did rally back. And I think it was a product of, we were kind of talking about this. It's like I think there was just a point where like some of Bayport's guys, like their middies, like they might have just been getting gassed out there. And it's like just trying to hold on. But they did, and they got the win. So they stay unbeaten.
Yeah,
But some
I think that's a big factor, Ellis. And we talked about this at length. I think Coach Me and Coach Aiello and the staff at Bayport are going to have to be very, very, very careful as they go into warmer weather and play, the Shore and Waning Rivers of the world, the sea, the other sea, the Kings Parks of the world. They're going
Mhm.
to have to balance their playing time because their top 10 is as good as any top 10 on the island.
Yes.
It's just they don't play other kids. And I was questioning why they weren't doing it when they were up 8-1 at one. It was 8-1 at one point in the second quarter.
Yeah, it
I know
was.
East Islip fought back, but you gotta be really careful of that because we saw it last night in a girls' game. You gotta play other kids, otherwise kids physically can't do it. It's
Hmm.
humanly impossible. So you got to be real careful of that. But I mean, let's talk about the Bayport kids. The kid Curran who's going to Towson, he
Yeah,
looked great.
Connor Curran, he was big time. Three and two. Had an offensive explosion in that one.
Danny Aiello looks like he went from a boy to a man in 1 year.
He shot up big time.
But we were like, he was on the wing on the first faceoff,
Hmm.
and I'm like, oh boy, I wouldn't want to tackle that kid. I know he was an excellent football player. And both teams were LIC, right? East Islip
Yeah,
and Bayport.
we talked about that. They both won the LIC in football.
So, and most of those kids, a lot of those kids were football kids.
Hmm.
Um, East Islip's got the transfer, Matt Ferraro, who had a great day. We'll talk about him later. But let's talk about the Bayport kids that stood out to you.
Yeah, so I mean, like we just mentioned, Danny Aiello, he was 1-3 in that game. And I mean, we saw him on the wings, on the face-offs as well. Mikey Luce, the pole for Bayport going to BU. I mean, he had a couple of great plays. Another one of those polls where it's like, he's going to have his imprint all over the game, both really offensively and defensively, because he is certainly a threat to score. And he did that in the game against East Islip. He had a goal, but that's another one. He's another one. Like when I go up to these kids and like, I mean, that's most of the time with the boys, but like the guys from Bayport, a lot of them, like they're just massive kids. Like they're just built differently. Like Mikey Lewis, he's another like big guy, but he had some big defensive plays, I thought, because Bayport set the tone in the first quarter, like we said. He had a cause turnover that ended up didn't lead to a goal on the other end for Bayport, but just kind of part of Bayport dominating possession in that first half. Ben Morris as well. He was 2-1 on the day, I believe, for Bayport.
Dude, he's slick. He is so slick,
Yeah,
that
he's
kid.
like so slippery and like so smooth.
He reminds me, when I watch him play, I think of Sidney Crosby,
Ooh,
right?
the kid.
Sidney Crosby is that way in hockey. Like that guy is awesome. Like Ben Morris, I remember seeing him as a freshman. He was on
Mhm.
the varsity as a freshman. And I remember telling Corey, I was like, Corey, this kid's got it. He's got the IQ, he's got the shake, and now he's starting. Obviously he's now growing to a man. He's going to the Naval Academy. Him
Yep.
and Aiello are going to the Naval Academy.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, Navy's doing a good job recruiting Long Island. I've said that the last 2 years, they've come to Long Island and gotten some dogs, some real dogs off the island, which is exciting for the
Mhm.
Naval Academy. I mean, Army has as well, but Navy's done better in the last 2 years. And I think that's because Joe Amplo, who's the head coach at Navy, and John Orson, who's the D coordinator, both Long Island guys. Both. I think Amplo was if I remember correctly, was a Sachem guy, and Orson was a Cold Spring guy. Both Hofstra college guys. So I thought that was a very, very interesting how well they were. And to talk, I thought the defense, I thought the kid Chase, what's Chase's last name? The defender for Bayport. Chase, it's escaping me right now. Starts with a D. Dickinson? I want to say
Oh,
Dickinson.
hang on.
I think it's Chase Dickinson. I'm not. I thought their defense looked really good. Like they used to play a zone years ago. This team doesn't need to play a zone anymore. They
Yeah,
can cover
Dickinson.
all over the field. Is it Dickinson?
Dickinson. Mm-hmm.
I liked his game. Brady Smith in the net, I love. I
Yeah,
mean,
Brady was 50%.
yeah, they just have to be careful because they don't. And again, we didn't see. I mean, we did see Matty Waters' little brother play a little bit.
Yeah, we
Throw the
saw
ball
Brendan
around.
Waters out there.
Right? But I think they're gonna have to be real careful and rest Aiello, and Macklin Kaiser played really well. He doesn't come off him and Aiello
Hmm.
from the midfield. They don't come off the field. They seem like they're on the field the whole game.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
some very cognizant of that when
Yeah.
as the time turns. Let's talk
I
a little
like
bit
we
about the
like
EI kids
we
because
like
they fought back.
let's not forget about Thomasone too. Or Thomasoni. Trey
Which kid?
for Bayport. Trey Thomasone.
Yes, I didn't know him. I like the way he spells his name.
Yeah, that's an all-namer.
He's definitely an all namer. Yeah, he played well. I mean, their starting team is legit. Is
Hmm.
legit. Um, and I thought East Islip, when they got their feet from under them, their defense was I thought a little sloppy in the beginning of the game, but they figured it out once they got going. I mean, they got McEntee, who's a stud, going to Cuse, but the kid who really stepped up was the Ferrara kid going to BU.
Yeah, Ferraro, he had 5 of their 8 goals in that game. And like if there was any chance of them coming back, like Matt Ferraro, he was a huge part of that. And of course, that's a huge get for EI coming over from Islip.
Yeah, the transfer portal in the high school game has been very interesting. I didn't realize that they have a transfer portal in high school like they do in college now.
Yeah, I
But
know. Like,
we've seen a few
yeah,
transfers,
it's been an active portal.
right? We saw a Comsawag transfer from Rocky Point. We saw an
Yep.
Islip to an East Islip transfer. We saw a Whitman to a
And a
Huntington
Huntington.
transfer.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't realize that the portal. I mean, can we check the portal every day like the college coaches do? Are
We
they
got to
getting
start, I
NIL deals?
guess. What's that?
Are they getting NIL deals? Is it like Alabama where like the D-back is like starting as a freshman and then he goes to Ole Miss for $280,000 or whatever they're giving these guys?
I don't know. Someone must be sweetening the pot for these guys.
Maybe Matty Ferraro is getting to live on the water in East Islip. They got a beautiful part of East Islip. That's what it is. Come over here, Matty. You can live in, we'll put you in the houseboat.
Live in the marina.
Put you in the marina. That's right. That's right. The marina in East Islip is really nice. We've spent a little bit of time there covering games, right?
Yeah, we did. We did back in the fall.
We might have to talk to our boy Ferrara and get like a visit to the boat. Maybe we'll do an interview on his boat. That's a great idea. Yeah, maybe he's got like a 62-foot Hatteras. We can go out shark fishing and stuff. That's an interesting. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, the transfer portal. We might have to set that up on the LALJ website. Have like the portal right there,
Yeah.
right? Have like a little porthole, like the little porthole that you look through on the boats. You look in it, you see a picture of like Luca. What's Luca's last name? Cuozo?
Luca Cuozo, yeah.
The face-off kid for Huntington.
Hmm.
It's funny. It's funny how the world's changed, right? So let's talk a little bit about DEI kids. We got Ferrara, we got
Yeah.
McAtee. Who else?
Drew Walendowski. Yeah, Drew Walendowski. He
You
had
kind of
he had
kept him in that. That could have been like 50.
yeah. He had 13 saves in that game.
Yeah, that kid's good. That kid's really good. He's going to Nova, right?
Yup. He's a 25 going to Nova.
Yeah, we were talking about that Dennis Forgione from GC, 24 is going to Nova. Drew Walendowski, 25 is going to Nova. They got two of the top goalies coming off the island to Nova. And then we talked about the Coach Carrata at Nova. He's a Long Island guy. So he says, listen, I got to get some tough Long Island guys. I can't live off just the, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Philly kids. I got to get some Long Island kids.
Yep.
Hempstead tough, as they say. Hempstead Turnpike tough. Out there, it's, what is it, Montauk Highway tough?
Montauk Highway, Sunrise Highway.
Wherever we can avoid some traffic. We hit a lot of traffic when we go down there.
Yeah.
Right? We've been hitting a lot of traffic. Well, the weather hasn't been helping us. Well, let's finish off this podcast just when we talk about the games we went to. Let's talk a little bit about last night's adventure. Last night's adventure was a game of the week that we had planned. We went to Connecticut to cover. First of all, I want to talk about Darien's media team. Arguably the most impressive high school media team I have ever seen. Tell them a little bit about, Ellis, what you got to experience yesterday.
Yeah, so yesterday was cool because I got to do the live stream of the game with one of the Darien high school students. He's a sophomore. His name is Owen Heffron. So just want to shout him out first and foremost because it was great to work with Owen. I thought we kind of gelled really well together. I would love to get some feedback from anyone out there, anyone that may have listened or rewatches that broadcast. But I thought Owen was great, and I thought it worked out so well because it's like, of course, Owen, he knows the Darien girls very well. I would know the St. Anthony's girls very well. So it was just kind of great how you had both sides represented on the broadcast. But I thought it was a really cool experience and like something I would love to do if, like, let's say next year Darien comes out to St. Anthony's. If like Darien had one of their high school students that broadcasts, if they made the trip out, and I'd love to do the game with one of their high school students again next year if that game were to happen.
Probably be Owen since he was only a sophomore, right?
Yeah, if it's Owen again next year, that'd be great.
Yeah, so Damien, for those who don't know it, Darien did a pretty cool thing. They opened the foundation and not-for-profit. They brought in Damien, who worked for MSG News 12 in Connecticut 7 years ago, and they started a program for their high school students to teach them about the back end, front end, all about the media, the sports communications, and they got kids all over the country now going on to college, taking these learned educational tools and going to kill it. They got a kid at Vatech right now. They got two kids, the Newhouse School at Syracuse, which is a very high level TV and radio school. And they got a great, they have 5 cameras. And obviously the Darien St. Anthony girls game, when we got there, they were streaming the Darien boys Ridgefield boys game.
Yeah.
They were on school break. So they started that around 2:30. And that was a great game. I think Darien won 10-6 and beat Ridgefield. And they had another whole group of guys from their team doing it. It was unbelievable. And it's all run. Damien oversees it and he teaches the kids, but it's all run by these high school kids. It's such an amazing, I know Plain Edge has tried to do something like this, We need to get more high schools on Long Island doing this. I know Chaminade has a small type of audio like group, but this is so great for the kids that aspire, to be in the media world, not only in athletics, but obviously that's how you do it. But it was a great telecast. You enjoyed doing it, right? You did the color. You want to tell them
Yeah.
a little bit about the game? It was a pretty cool game too.
Yeah. The only thing I wish, I know like we just couldn't get it to work out from a technical standpoint. The only thing we were missing was a monitor, but that's okay. Technology sometimes it doesn't always work out. But but anyway, I mean that was a great game. I mean, I try not to have recency bias and like try to look at everything from like the same perspective, but like right now I feel like that's got to be like the best game I've seen at this level. And it was a 5-4 game, but like that doesn't even matter. Like the scores are relevant. Like you had to combine 9 goals and like it was an unbelievable game. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Like
I'll tell you
you
where we're
start,
going to start, Al, because I was thinking about this.
you want to start
Um,
with the defense, the St. A
yeah, well,
defense?
well, let's just give perspectives to the people that haven't watched it. The first quarter was 0-0,
Yeah.
and it was the most intense 0-0 game I've ever experienced.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was like it was like edge on your seat
Yes,
type of a game.
yes. I mean, let's start with Lexi Zank, because I would say if listen, there we could talk. We're going to talk a lot about the St. Anthony girls because this is a Long Island Lacrosse Journal podcast, and they were awesome. All right, but Lexi Zank was as money
Yeah.
could be. She
Yeah,
was,
she was her last night.
she was, and I got to tell you something. The best part was at the end when we're leaving, and
Oh yeah. Yup.
Darien was getting pizza for both teams. It was really cool the way the two teams went inside and did all that stuff.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, I hear them singing happy birthday, and it
I
was
know.
Lexi's birthday.
I know. Go figure.
Lexi turns 18 on a day that she literally stands on her head and plays the game of her life in a triple overtime game. Triple. And she was making saves in every overtime.
Yeah, and it started at the very beginning though. Like
Yeah.
I think she had 4 saves in the first quarter.
Yeah,
It
she
was like
kept yeah,
it was like
because
right off the bat, it was
you're
like,
right.
okay, this is
You're
going to
right.
be one of those games where
Yeah.
like, and we kind of talked about it like a little bit pregame on the broadcast, like just some of the keys, and like goaltending was mentioned with Zank going to UNC, Shadell going to Duke, but right off the bat, like from the very beginning, like you kind of had that feel like with the saves both goalies were making, like it was going to be one of those games.
I got to read to everybody who doesn't know anything about Darien. First of all, if you don't know anything about Darien, you can go on their channel and you can watch them. It's worth it. I was just talking to a buddy of mine who coaches lacrosse in New Jersey, and he was watching the game from last night because I told him about it. And they had their starting goalie's going to Duke, their backup goalie's going to Princeton. Okay, so that tells you a little bit about the program. This is a public school, guys. This is
Yeah.
public school. Okay. They had their upperclassmen are going to Yale, they're going to Marist, they're going to Duke, they're going. Uh, where's Bellissimo going?
Um, she going to Yale? Hold on.
They're like, it's unbelievable. And then they had 26s who are the kids that are going to be playing in the Juniors
Yeah,
Open this year.
she's going to Yale.
She's going to Yale. That's one of their top defenders. I mean, the kid Von Kennel, who's a
Oh,
26.
yeah, she's only a sophomore. I remember her from Battle of the Sound.
Dude, did you see that
This,
one when they came out of the timeout at 4-3?
yeah,
And she just like it looked like someone shot her out of a cannon.
yeah,
It was like, oh my God. But I don't want to talk too much about Darien, even though I love the program. I love Lisa. She's a great coach. I want to talk about the St. Anthony girls because if you're a Long Island lacrosse fan and you like girls lacrosse, you need to go to Wolf Hill Road and watch this team battle. They're a very likable team. First of all, on the circle, right? They start the day. You got Molly Heine going to Hopkins, Jenna Binkis going to USF taking the draw, and Megan Kenny going to Maryland. That circle is electric. Electric.
That's as
Right?
great as it gets.
It's just like amazing. She's like a Swiss Army knife. There's nothing that kid can't do. She could probably build a lacrosse stick the way the kid plays. Megan Kenny is like lightning in a bottle, right? Molly Heine went 1-1. She had a pass for a goal that was just amazing. Okay, she scored a bouncer in the upper corner, right? I mean, I'd like to see did you watch the replay of that? Because that had to hit the top corner.
No, I have to rewatch the like the replays on them because we didn't have the monitor. I didn't go back yet to like rewatch the replays.
Yeah, I mean that circle. Then you go to the attack. Okay, they got the best player, arguably, on Long Island when Tess Calabria, who was, I mean, they were throwing stuff at her. They were throwing everything at her to try to stop her. She had 3 goals. Okay, she had 1 goal that you got to see. Right? We didn't know how she caught
It was
it.
just ridiculous. Yeah, you don't know how she caught it, how she finished it. It was like she was absolutely swarmed, kind of like right on the crease too. And it was just one of those plays where it's like you really, if you're a defender, you just have to tip your hat. There wasn't much more that could have been done to stop that.
And then so we can talk about the offense, but let's move to the defense because it was a defensive game. Let's talk about Riley Zussi, who's
Florida.
She's going to Florida, right?
Florida. Mm-hmm.
She's covering Sadie Stafford, who's arguably one of the best middies in the country, who's going to Duke. She did an unbelievable. I'm looking at Sadie's stats, and there's nothing there. She donutted.
From an offensive standpoint, no. She had some big draws, but Riley did a phenomenal job.
Phenomenal job on her. And then Amanda Pacey did a phenomenal job on the kid Von Kennel. She only had 1. And then Julia May O'Connor, the Q's commit, covered Annabelle Adams, who's going to Virginia. She only had 1. Right? We're talking like elite lacrosse players that these girls are covering, right? And I'm not going to forget Maddie Morris, who's going to USF. And then they bring in the sophomore, Sophie Novelli, to play D-Midi. She shut down every girl she covered. And then the defense, Binkis, Kenny, Heine, Devin Lang at times. They would just, and then obviously Zenk behind them doesn't hurt. They held this team to 4 goals. 4 goals.
That doesn't happen.
No.
That doesn't happen to Darien.
No, it doesn't happen with no shot clock. They had 1 possession. They had 1 possession, guys, because there's no shot clock. It had to be 4 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say they were on defense for probably a good 4 to 5 minutes.
And they stopped them. I think that's the time Julia May came up with the ground ball.
Right. Yeah, they got the stop.
Was it Julia May that came out of the
I think so.
It was unbelievable. I was sitting there going, this is like an unbelievable lacrosse game. Like both teams, their defense was just as good. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, neither team, and it wasn't like you didn't have offensive firepower on both sides. The offensive firepower was legit. The game-winning goal, though, let's talk a little bit about the 3 overtimes, right? And then Catherine Rathjen, right? Fairfield commit. Kind of dodging. They're moving the ball around. They're very, very being very, very what's the word I'm looking? Patient. And because Tess draws so many eyeballs.
Yeah, she was basically being shot down the stretch.
So they put her on the crease, which was smart. And Tess pulled her girl probably about 2 yards above, maybe 4 yards above the crease. And I don't know how Rathjen found her. She found Brooke Long opposite pipe. So went from the left to the right. And Long, where'd she bounce it in? It
was like a quick like catch and shoot. I don't even think it bounced.
It was chaos after that because I didn't even see it. It was just a black wave going on the field, right? I looked over to Darien, and obviously they were destroyed. No team deserved to lose this game.
Oh yeah, we said that on the broadcast. We were like, this is one of those games where it's like you hate that someone has to lose, but it absolutely lived up to all the hype and all the anticipation. And then did you catch this the stick check at the end just to make sure it was good? So it was like a momentary pause.
Oh no, I didn't see that. I wasn't paying
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah. Yeah, they checked the stick right after the goal. So there was like just that momentary pause and like, okay, like is this good? And then of course it was good. And the celebration continues.
Yeah, it was a nice, it was a nice opportunity for two national level teams to battle it out on one of the team's fields, and it's great because both St. Anthony's and Darien play a great schedule. I mean, St. Anthony's plays all the top public schools on the island, plays national. Let's talk a little bit about the Gains for Brains coming up next week. I mean, we'll talk about it in length next Friday. Next Saturday, a week from tomorrow, is arguably the best girls' high school event that Andy Rappaport from News 12 started a bunch of years ago. It's up at Cold Spring Harbor High School on both their turfs. There's 10, well, now 11 because of the switch, Long Island teams, but 10 games, 5 on each field from 10 in the morning. Games start at 10 in the morning to 7 p.m. My suggestion is if you're home, I know a lot of you kids are on break. If you're home next Saturday, take a ride up. You're going to get to see. I have the list. Coach Bongino sent it to me. West Islip's playing. St. Dominic's is playing. St. Anthony's is playing. Sacred Heart's playing. Cold Spring Harbor's playing. Manhasset's playing. Garden City's playing. ESM's playing.
Massapequa, William Floyd.
Garden City.
Yeah,
and then they're playing like
the GC.
They're playing. Darien's going to be there. New Canaan's going to be there. Wilton's going to be there. Summit, New Jersey's there. Ridgewood, New Jersey's there. Oak Knoll, Jersey's there. Suffern from Rockland County's there.
Yeah. Ward Melville also from the
Ward
island.
Melville. Sorry, Steph. Yeah, Melville's there. I think they play Wilton, right?
Ward Melville is New Canaan.
New Canaan. Oh, that's gonna be a good one. So one of the things we'll do is we're gonna promote it on our social. But if you have a young daughter that is just, loves the game, you gotta be there. You're gonna see the future of college lacrosse in a 10-hour span. I mean, just oodles and oodles of talent, which is cool. So before we say goodbye, let's talk about a few things that you were bringing up earlier. A couple of other games that we weren't at, but you noticed on the scoreboard and we got some info on.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up some of the notable scores that I kind of saw over the last few days here, even though they weren't games that we covered. But you can talk about the Sayville girls. They're still undefeated. They're 10-0 now, I believe. And they had 2 nail biters this week. So earlier this week against Mount Sinai in OT, Dylan McNamara with the game winner there to give Sayville a 9-8 win over Sinai. And kudos to Sinai hanging tough with a team like Sayville, who looks like a juggernaut right now. And then Sayville, a couple days after that, this was yesterday, they beat West Islip 5-4, and it's McNamara again with the game winner, this time in regulation with like 8 seconds left. And I believe that one was fed by Sophia Buffardi. So Sayville, they stay unbeaten. And Dylan McNamara, the freshman, having a huge season for the Golden Flashes.
Veins, huh?
Oh, big time.
We gotta give her
pressure doesn't phase her.
We're gonna call her Ice Woman. George Gervin, Iceman. He was the greatest clutch basketball player back in the day. Call her Ice Woman. But so Sayville's still undefeated. They're the top C. We're gonna come out with our top 24, right? When's that coming out? It's coming out soon, right?
Yeah, it's coming out very, very soon.
So the new top 24, the LALJ top 24 boys and girls. Another big upset yesterday in the A boys. I shared that with you a little bit.
Yeah, Longwood over Connetquot, 13-12.
And a little 8th grade goalie making some noise with 13 saves. Alex Herrera, only in 8th grade. Remember that name, Alex Herrera. That's big. I mean, we just talked about a 9th grader making noise at Sayville. There's a Longwood girl. Let's talk about the teams that are still undefeated, right? We got St. Anthony's on the girls' side, right? We got Sayville on the girls' side.
Yup.
Anybody else on the girls' side undefeated?
No, I think those are Those are your only two undefeateds, I believe. Let me just double check, just to
I
make
know
sure.
in the boys, the undefeated team, we got Hills,
Hills,
right?
Bayport,
Bayport boys, and
Calhoun
Calhoun.
is undefeated. Oh, by the way, Baldwin girls 7-0,
Let's go, Bruins.
and then let me just take a look at Suffolk. But I believe Sayville's the only Suffolk team undefeated.
So there's a Nassau team in Baldwin, a Suffolk team in Sayville, a
And
parochial team in St. A's. And then on the boys' side, we got Bayport in Suffolk, Hills in Suffolk, and Calhoun in Nassau. Is that accurate?
yes, it is.
Those are your only unblemished teams. I know that people are looking for them. Looks like Mount Sinai girls are starting to figure it out. They're starting to play better. They did take it on the chin to Bayport yesterday. I think Bayport is starting to mesh. The Bayport, not that I'm getting ahead of myself, but the next time Bayport plays Sayville, if they play, that could be another game of the ages. That might have to be a game that is a must-see game because those two teams obviously are very close to each other. The last game was a 1-goal game.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a game that I think Ellis Joshua will definitely be at.
Yeah, I think it's a safe bet.
Safe bet.
I would say so.
Yeah, I even think Coach Wink will be there unless my daughter calls me up and I have to babysit.
Yeah. Also, just quickly, just a couple scores. So going back to Nassau girls for a sec, last weekend, you had Southside girls with an upset win over Manhasset, 11-10, and then Long Beach turning the tables a couple days later on Southside, beating Southside 11-10 in OT. Sienna Warren with the game winner.
Ooh,
And
that
then on
power
the
conference.
yeah, that's a good power conference matchup. And then on the boys, Bethpage over Island Trees in OT, 9-8.
Ooh, a little OT action. I'm predicting OT for Bethpage today too, by the way.
Well, we'll see. They
I'm
got one today
predicting.
against Floral Park.
I'm not going to tell you who's the game. I already told Ellis that who's going to win the game in OT, and I also told him who's going to score the goal. So if it happens, Ellis, you have to tell everybody. If it doesn't
Yeah.
happen, you could tell them also I was wrong.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can reveal either way.
We'll reveal it next week in our podcast as we
Yeah.
lead into the games for brains because we're doing 10 games next Saturday. Oh boy, we better get our rest, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's not going to come this weekend though. Got a big day tomorrow. We
What are
got
we doing? We're doing 4 tomorrow?
yeah, I think it's four. It's at least
Well, you're
three.
doing 4.
It's at
I'm doing
least
3.
it's at least three, possibly four.
Oh,
It's
you're
kind of
evaluating if you're doing
TBD
the
right
first
now.
one?
Yeah, one of them is under evaluation, just
Okay.
based on time and schedule. But I'm
How's the
hoping
weather
for more.
looking? Are we going to get any sunshine?
Let me take a look right now.
I got to tell you something. If I see the sun, I won't know what it is.
All right, so there's gonna be some rain like early in the morning, but that's well before the games start. Then after that, it looks like it's gonna be mostly cloudy for the day, and looks like a high of 64. So at least it'll be pretty warm. But I just hope it stays dry and is not windy.
64 and cloudy is like Bermuda beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, considering what we've been getting up here, like I'll take this any day of the week at this point.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired of coming home and having to take all my clothes up in the garage because my wife doesn't want me getting all the water and mud and everything on everything. The only positive is that we don't. Most of our games are on turf.
Yeah.
So I guess we could say thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, that's right. We'll wrap this edition up of Weekly Crossbar. So again, thanks to everyone that tuned in, and we will talk to you on the other side.